Gabe Katz, one of the editors of the Oracle.
But look around you, nothing works. The only thing the kid is presented with is when you grow up, look, you can join the army, you can go to war, you can get a gig working as an engineer and become a vegetable and drive to work in your own car, your own big metal box. And, it looks absurd. People in their metal boxes like this going all over from job to job, frustrated, uptight. What joy is there in life? Life is and should be ecstasy. Being alive should be a joy, and it's a drag for most people.
Acid Archives Diaries returns. Today, Gravity Adjusters Band, number 1. On Nocturne Records. Alright, Acid Archives, the Diaries. This is the series started, a month ago or so now. And I really appreciate everyone joining and contributing. As I've said, there is a playlist. I'll link to it below. Every video that I haven't seen. I think there's a few I still need to watch, but everyone I've tried to search and find entries and add them to the playlist. If you know of someone who's done one that's not on the playlist and I've missed it, please comment below with a link. I've tried to keep up with all of them. I think I have them all, but I wouldn't be surprised if one got past me. To that end, I'm going to list everyone who's contributed so far. This is just in the order that they've come out. First and foremost, of course, Psychedelic, who's done a whole bunch. Christopher Kibler, Vinyl Piper, Noble Records, Vinyl Richie, who's done a bunch in a few different videos. Crazy Jimmy's Vinyl, who's done maybe the most out of everyone and some exceptional ones. Diamond Marimba, Norman Maslov, Vinyl Dreamscape, Local Bandography, aka the VC Ambassador. Vinyl Stockholm, John Coltrane 68, Chris, Mr. Shelf Stacker, Dizzy Orange Droning, Dave the Pickup Artist, Take 444, Sublime Media gave one, Flaming Groove Listens, Vinyl Voyage, I don't think I've watched that one yet, but it's in the playlist. And just this morning I watched the Permanent Records one on Stonewall, which was awesome. So, including myself, we have 21 contributors to this Diaries, Acid Archive Diaries, that has no end in sight, because there's plenty of stuff to do and feature, and it's the kind of list you can kind of just jump on when you feel like it. There's been titles that people have done that I would have liked to have done, but no big deal. There's plenty of other ones that I can pick from. I know that the emphasis is on original pressings, I think, but some of these will be impossible to do originals on. In any case, today I bring you one of the more avant-garde ones in the book. And one, this is an original press of. It's the only pressing of it. Gravity Adjusters Band 1 from 1973 on the Nocturne label. A label which is not exactly a private press. There's about 25 releases to the label's discography, namely the Arthur Lee record, not the one on LHI, his second album, Arthur Lee, whatever it is, that's on this label. There's a few like hard rock records. There's something else of note. Oh yeah, the Gil Mele record that I'm looking for is actually on that label, Nocturne. Anyway, this is a real interesting one, obviously. But it's very much, we're listening to it right now, free improvisation, sparse, music electronica viva is a name you'd go at, but this is way more subtle and quiet. It's not exactly as harsh as that as their records were. It's primarily the work of an ensemble, but Richard Waters is, I think, sort of the quote-unquote band leader. And and then I think maybe just him or other people in the group have made and even patented instruments. And his big claim to fame is making or inventing the waterphone, which I think I have to check. Maybe I can insert this later, but I believe there's a Miles Davis record you might be able to hear that on. He's done some work with Tom Waits, even Richard Waters. But yeah, this is a record of sort of found sound collaboration and sort of improvised live sort of field record, not field recording, but improvised sort of sound installation type sound. But because it's from 1973 and it is a pretty small press, this naturally makes sense to feature in the Acid Archives. On the back here, we got a whole bunch of notes. I'll read here. We'll read from the book in a minute, but the instruments that are featured: diatonic sound generator, bouzouki, pipe drums, Aeolian space horn, synthesizer, waterphone, mitar, saws, bass, violin, horizontal and upright phoniums, bird calls, microtonal revolving sound generator, Super Ball mallets, water gong drums, log drums, sprigs, keyboards, assorted gourds, princess oil can, and others. And about the Gravity Adjusters expansion band. The GAEB had its beginnings in the late 60s. It emerged as a music ensemble simultaneously with the experimental sculptural instrumental creations of designer Richard Waters. Although some individual instruments may have been heard by the general public on LPs, TV dramas, and in movies, and all of these instruments played by the foundational members of the Gravity Adjusters expansion band. Some musicians already exposed to these original instruments are Lalo Schifrin, Roger Kellaway, Shelly Manne, Emil Richards, Dave Grusin, The Grateful Dead, and more. The Gravity Adjusters expansion band is basically an organic music ensemble. However, any instrument, traditional or for that matter, and sound producing object, which includes electronics, could be considered valid within the open-ended musical framework of any GAEB composition. The different players: Lee Charlton, Bryce Rode, Richard Waters, Bruce Kale, David Wheat, Roy Hart, Wolfgang Mells. And from 1973, Nocturne Records. They would release another one later on, like 6-7 years later. This one maybe not quite as experimental, but definitely similar sort of ambiance. A Hole in the Sky. This is on the same label. Here's more pictures of them. I love the sort of ambiance of this. I find this to be sort of like relaxing ambient music. But the group originates from 1967. Richard Waters, leader of the GAEB, invents, makes, plays new musical instruments and sonic sculptures, has performed and recorded in a range of settings from fusion to jazz to new conceptual music to interspecies communication. Invented the waterphone, also plays saw horn, strings, RSG, and percussion. So real, definitely avant-garde piece to the Acid Archives. They would also do, you'll see Richard Waters pop up on a lot of different things and different sort of like involvement. They would also back they would also be the backing band for this record. Maxine Francolanzo, I Chose to Live. This is on Golden State Records. And this is sort of her narrating, doing spoken word over sort of similar backdrop. More of a jazz record, I suppose. This is also interesting, so they're involved in this record. And yeah, just, there's a few records like this in the Acid Archives that are just experimental in nature, private press, just sort of curios that are not sort of necessarily psychedelic, but maybe because they're coming from this time, they sort of have that as it's sort of in the water, it's in the air. So before I read from the Acid Archives, credit and influence goes to Chris Cole, who sort of got me down this sort of wormhole of the Gravity Adjusters expansion band. He thought I would like him many years ago now, and I've been sort of enjoying it ever since. And just one of the many cool things he's got me into. So let me grab the book, and hopefully you're hearing it in the background. It's a little low, but I don't have the page marked off. Let's see what we got here. F, we're nearby. I think it's a pretty short read. There is a picture of it. This is from the first edition of Acid Archives. Gravity Adjusters Expansion Band, rarity number 1. Spacey Experimental Cosmic Trance, communal trip of homemade instruments, sound generators, and percussion. There you have it. So that's what we have on this one. The second record is not in there, but this is the only one featured. So Gravity Adjusters Expansion Band 1 from 1973. There is a CD reissue of this, which I think they even set up a Bandcamp for it. But anyway, that's what we got this time on the Acid Archives Diaries. I'll talk to you on the next one. See ya.